What is going on, everyone? My name is Jazz, and thanks for entering the Lobby of Hobbies, where we get a chance to share games with you in hopes that you discover something worth checking out. On this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the 1 to 4 player game Herbaceous, published by Pencil First Games, and it's said to be a flavorful game from Stephen Finn, Eduardo Baraf, and Beth Sobel. So, we're going to look at this game. We're going to ask the question whether or not can you dig it, and see if you are the best horticulturist at the table. I don't know about you. I know I don't have a green thumb, so let's get to the table and see how this one plays. So here we have a 3-player game setup of Herbaceous. Now, as you will see, players will have 4 different types of containers or pots that are available to them. And then they also have this tile indicating their private garden, which is going to be the area below here. This area here is going to be called the community garden, which is going to be in the center of the table. There will be a deck of herb cards, and then you have this bonus card here. It's going to be awarded to the first player to complete this objective, which is going to be a 5-point bonus. I'll explain that shortly, so I'll place this off to the side. And players will also get with them a player aid card, which will let them know what they can do on their turn, as well as the 4 different types of pots that they have. They have a large pot, which is going to be looking for herbs of the same type. They have a wooden planter that's going to be looking for herbs that are different. They have a small pot that's going to be looking for pairs of different herbs, and then they're going to have a glass jar that can only receive 3 different herbs in there, and it's the only pot that is allowed to get the special herbs. And I'm going to show you the different types of herbs in this deck. You have 7 different types of herbs in the deck for a quantity of 9 each. You have bay leaves, you have dill, lavender, rosemary, saffron, sage, and tarragon, along with the 3 different special herbs. You have the mint, chive, and thyme. And there are only 3 different ones of each. So there's 3 mints, 3 chive, and 3 thyme in the deck. Now these will all get shuffled into the deck, and once they get shuffled into the deck, you will discard a set number of cards depending on how many players are in the game. For example, this 3-player game, you would have 12 cards discarded from the deck, and then you would go on to play. On a player's turn, they can do one of 2 things. They can pot, and what they would do is they would take cards from either the community garden, their personal garden, or a combination of both, and pot them into one of their plants. Obviously, in the beginning of the game, on the first turn, players don't have this option available to them. So the next thing they will move on to do is a mandatory action, which is potting plants or planting herbs. So they will take 1 card from the deck, and they'll determine whether they want to plant it into the community garden. And then if they do that, the next card automatically goes into their personal or private garden. Play will end once every card from this deck is drawn, and no players can pot any more herbs into their garden. Again, what's important to know about potting these herbs is once you make the decision to pot into a container, you can no longer pot into that container at the end of the game. So when you make your first decision to plant or pot into a container, that is it for the rest of the game until the game ends. We'll come back and we'll see exactly how. So at the end of the game, we'll look at this player's scoring area, and what they're going to do is they're going to count the number of cards that are in each pot. So in this pot, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, giving them a total of 14 points for this pot. In this pot here, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards of 5 different types of herbs, and that's going to give them a total of 8 points for that pot. Over here, they were able to acquire 3 different pairs of different herbs for a total of 6 cards, giving them a total of 12 points. Now, over here in the glass jar, they were able to get a chive for 2 points, a thyme for 3 points, but they weren't able to get a number 1, which was the mint, but they were able to place lavender in here. So they're going to get 6 points plus their 5 for a total of 11 points. Right here alone in these pots, they've acquired 45 points. They will also get 1 additional point for every herb that is in their private garden, giving them a total of 47 points. But if that player was to have gotten the mint in there, and let's say they were the first player to get the 1, 2, and 3 herbs, the mint, chive, and thyme, into this play area, that would have given them 12 points here, plus if they were the first ones, they would have gotten an additional 5 points, giving them a total of 17 points there, which can be a huge swing as the game goes on. So this is how Herbaceous is scored. Players will accumulate their totals, and whoever has the most points wins. Okay, so that's a brief overview of the gameplay for Herbaceous. First, I want to give a shout out and thanks to Pencil First Games for sending us this copy to check out and review. So it's time to ask the question, can you dig it? So let's jump right into it with the diversity factor of this game, which is looking at the target audience, right? Is it going to be new gamers, casual gamers, or experienced gamers, or some combination thereof, right? Now, new gamers, I think this is perfect for them. It's going to be a game that doesn't have a heavy rule set and has streamlined play. You can have everybody at the table learning and playing this game within 3 to 5 minutes. There's not much to it, right? You're drawing a card and you're deciding which garden you're going to place it in. Prior to that, if you have the opportunity to plant or pot herbs, you get a chance to choose either from the community garden, your personal garden, or the combination of both and pot them into one of the 4 pots that you might have available. Perfect for new gamers that I love games is when they come with a player aid, which is great because at the beginning of the game you can explain the rules, and as the game's going on players' turns, they can refer to this. They can refer to what the turn structure is. They can also refer to the iconography and what the iconography means for the actions that they're able to do on their turn. Now, casual gamers, I think this is great as well because sometimes a casual gamer is just looking to sit back, pick up something quick with a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, whatever the case may be, and enjoy that time at the table just playing something lightweight, to just fulfill the time for a short bit. Now, experienced gamers is where I get leery. Not that this game won't sit well with experienced gamers, but it all comes down to what an experienced gamer is looking for when it comes to a game hitting the table. Are they looking for something that's simply going to be a filler game? Because for them, that is exactly what this game is. It's a filler game that plays within 20 minutes, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to want to make a game night of this game, right? This is something that they'll pull out before they start playing that heavier, 2-hour game, or while they're waiting for the rest of their game group to get there. But it does have a luck factor, right? It is a push your luck type game. Draw a card, determining where you're going to put it at. So if experienced gamers are not really big into that push your luck or games that have a luck element to it, and they want their filler game to have, a little bit more meat, a little bit more strategy behind it, this is definitely not going to be that game. But quickly, I will say that if you are an experienced gamer or a casual gamer who is a fan of a game that I've enjoyed before called Biblios, this is another Stephen Finn design, which is right up there. So Biblios has that same push your luck element. This game, Herbaceous, has that same push your luck element. Now, how inviting is this game? What about Herbaceous is going to bring people to the table? Is it going to be the art? Is it going to be the theme? Let's jump into that portion, right? If we look at the artwork, we have a game about potting plants, right, and potting herbs. I think the artwork is done exquisite for this game, right? It's a relaxing game. It's supposed to be elegant in its design. And I think Beth Sobel knocked it out the park with her artwork once again. She's famous for her art, games like Calico that has, very stunning art for what it does. This exactly fits, which I think many times we lack that in certain games, right? Where the art doesn't fit the gameplay, or the gameplay doesn't fit the art. And I think the artwork in Herbaceous, it just matches. It does exactly what it needs to do, which is to give you that relaxing type feel of what you're doing, which is potting these herbs and these plants. Now, theme is something that some people might feel might be a little lacking, but I'm not, like I said before, I am not a green thumb. I am not a horticulture expert, but I did get that feeling that, I was looking for specific plants to pot into my different pots there. So I guess this is the closest to my green thumb that you're going to get, other than me cutting the grass or something like that. But I wasn't making plants die here. All right, let's just get that straight. But yeah, the theme, although it's light, it's all about, for me, the mechanics in this gameplay. So if you're looking for a game that's going to be heavily immersed in theme, this definitely is not the game. But it does give you that relaxing feel that you're doing what the game is designed for you to do, which is pot herbs, pot plants. So we're at the most important question, and that is whether or not the game is good. Now, personally for me, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. It went over well with my family, that, there were new gamers, there were some casual gamers there, and myself, who was probably the most experienced gamer at the table. And we all enjoyed it. We had a great time, with that push your luck element of drawing that card and determining which garden you're going to place it in. And then that next card, you got stuck placing it in the garden that you didn't want, right? And we had, those laughing type moments. While it was a relaxing game, we still had some fun, we still had some laughs. And players at the end of the first game, they wanted another chance to play it. I think we played it in 3 successive games, because again, the games go quick. And I even got a chance to sit back, I think for a 4th game, to watch the rest of everybody else play, because we had a new gamer come into the fold, and it was something that they picked up right away, which was great. I've played the game at a 2-player count, and I had fun there as well. It adds a little bit more strategy, and what you're going to give your opponent and what you're going to keep. And I've also played it at the solo player mode, which adds a different element, because on your turn you're drawing 3 cards, and you're either keeping one in your personal garden, keeping one in the community garden, and then the other one goes to a discard pile. I also checked out the solo variant, which I thought was pretty neat. You're trying to get your highest score, and you're comparing it to a scaling system that's in the rulebook. But it also adds a 3rd place that you can discard a card to, because you're drawing 3 cards on your turn, and that's going to be the discard pile. So you can bet it's very demoralizing when you have a card that you draw and you're forced to place it into that discard pile, because it could have helped your score out tremendously. The one variant that I didn't get a chance to check out yet, and I'm really, really itching to do so, is the team variant, where you're playing with a partner, and you are, on your turn, drawing 3 cards, placing one into your personal garden, one into your community garden, and one into your teammates' garden as well, which I think is going to add a nice layer of strategy to how the game's played. You're going to look at the very end of the game, which team has scored the highest points, and that team is going to be the winner. With this, you can have crosstalk, so you guys can talk as you're playing, your strategy out, I would say. I guess without giving your opponents too much knowledge on what your strategy is. But there is also an advanced team variant, which I'm really excited to check out. And that is, there's no crosstalk amongst players, and instead of looking at your combined score, you're looking at the lowest single score on your team, and you're comparing the lowest score of one team compared to the lowest score of the other team, and whoever of those 2 lowest scores is the highest, that team is the winner. So I think that adds a heavy level of strategy. I know my family would probably enjoy this. We come from a dominoes, a team-based dominoes background, from Latin American dominoes, and we thoroughly enjoy how we play those team strategy games. So I'm pretty sure this will add a nice fun element to how we play this one as well. Now, before we get going, I want to thank you guys for stopping by to check out this review. And if it's something that you enjoyed, why don't you go and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed yet, along with that bell icon. That way you can be notified anytime we drop new content here, and give us a thumbs up. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about Herbaceous? Is this something that you've checked out? Is this something that kind of piqued your interest? And if so, I'd like to talk to you about it. Drop a line down in the comments below, and I'll talk to you there. All right, signing off. This is Jazz. Have a good one, guys.